Hello. Flowstone Cabernet Sauvignon Toriga. An unusual but eminently engaging blend. But what's the background behind it and how does it all come together? Well, we're all familiar with the eminent components in it. Cabernet Sauvignon, obviously, we know as the prime variety on the left bank of Bordeaux, famous for all those lovely chateaux. But it also does very well around the whole of the world. It is widely planted in Australia as well. And some could argue that Margaret River is the preeminent region in Australia for Cabernet Sauvignon. Some may not as well. Toriga, however, most people probably aren't familiar with the variety in itself, but certainly its main product, we will be. Toriga, or Toriga Nacional as it is also known, is the main variety from Portugal that makes up their Portuguese ports. And we're all familiar with those. However, over the last 15 or so years, the Portuguese have been making more dry red table wines with their varieties, and I've always considered it my responsibility as a winemaker just to keep aware of what's happening in the world of wine. So I certainly had to go out and get some of those wines and try them. One of the things I did like about the wines made primarily from Toriga, apart from the red and blueberry fruit flavours and spicy lift and almost a hint of licorice sometimes, they have a lovely rich mid palate and very textural, and the tannins are very fine and soft. So after trying some of these wines, it just crossed my mind that they could blend beautifully with Cabernet and just soften that mid palate and the finish. And then just by chance in 2010, I stumbled across a man at the north end of Margaret River who had some Toriga planted in the late 70s. He used to make port with it, but didn't anymore. And I bought a couple of tonnes for a bit of a play and blended it with the Cabernet and really enjoyed it and have been making that blend since then. The Toriga just does add that juicy, rich mid-palate in a similar way that Merlot does to Cabernet, but in a much more interesting manner with different flavours and dimensions, but also the fine, gravelly tannins that fan across the back of the mouth really soften that Cabernet finish. So the Flowstone Cabernet Sauvignon Toriga, it's not the biggest, most massive wine. It's medium to full-bodied, but beautifully balanced and poised and eminently engaging and remarkably easy drinking. Give it a go.